Coach, that first touchdown play call to Jordan Leggett worked to perfection, but that was something we ran several times under Chad Morris, dating back to his first year in 2011. But I've seen defenses not bite on that also. How hard is it to know exactly when to run that play, not only in the game, but against the right opponent?
Well, you look throughout the course of your film study to see if you have an aggressive defense that likes to rush the passer. You also look throughout the course of the film study to see if they jump off sides at all. We also knew that they hadn't played us in a while, so they may not have went back and as far as a couple years ago to find that play for us. So it's one of those ones you got to feel. It was on the script. We've been practicing it for a couple weeks, waiting for the right time to call it, and we just trusted the script. We had it at that point in time, kind of in that field position, and it called it and it worked. And just credit to the guys, they executed it well.
And then Jordan nearly screwed it up by going the wrong way, away from his blocking.
Right, and just excited for him. That's something that he takes pride in, and we take pride in the fact that he was able to have his 5th touchdown catch in a game consecutively. So that was big. But yeah, I was a little nervous there at first when he cut back across the grain, but he made the guy miss. And you just look at the tape though, the offensive line, and they did an unbelievable job of giving great effort. They blocked the entire play all the way down to the goal line. So it's just a well-executed play.
Yeah, I was going to say that I saw Mitch Hyatt was actually blocking somebody on the goal line before Jordan scored. Jake Guillermo was down there. What does that say about these guys?
Well, I was asked a question afterward, and they're just they're a cohesive unit, man. They're having fun. Jay, I would say, is probably the leader up there. He keeps everybody fired up, very comical, but in a good way. Right. And so I lean on him throughout the course of practice. All right, Jay, let's wake the guys up. And he's the vocal leader. And then you got McClain, who's playing his best football, who's a very vocal leader. Just a straight-laced guy, does everything by the book. It's just fun to watch those guys. And one of the cool things is we were able to give the entire offensive line the Player of the Game award for their accomplishments. Not just the first unit, but the second unit came in and played well.
You've had a couple of different stints here. Where does this offensive line rank in terms of how good they are, how physical they are?
It's hard to say because when I was here as a player, I didn't pay as much attention to the offensive line because I was a receiver. I was worried about the secondary and defensive structure. But they're creating a new line of scrimmage for us. They're sound in their assignments. There's not a lot of mental busts. They're having fun. It's not always pretty as you want it, but it's effective. They're covering guys up, and then the backs are finding the creases. So it just looks like everybody's working together and on the same page.
Talk about the center position. It seems like you got a lot of guys in there to play at the center position on Saturday that hadn't seen the field or weren't going to see the field anytime the rest of the year. What do you think you built there in depth with the center position?
Well, it's critical for Falcinelli to get in there and have some success. He's a guy that we're repping as a second-team center. Hopefully we'll get Norton back in the mix here pretty soon, coming off of injury. And then, it just builds confidence. It gives those guys an opportunity to get out there and play. And you're not talking about 1 or 2 plays. Those guys play multiple plays, and we didn't have any issues from the snap perspective. But it gives us flexibility because, it's a physical game, and you never know what play it's going to happen when a guy's going to have to come out a couple of plays, and that guy's got to be ready. So that experience was very valuable.
What made you? Did you intend going in to target Ray as much as you did, and at what point, what was it that made you think this would be his game to kind of feature him?
Well, Ray started with he had a great week of practice, and we've always had high expectations for Ray, but his execution in practice was at a different level. You can tell he was excited to go home, and it was just throughout the course of the game. Obviously the reverse was called. It wasn't a situation where we were looking specifically for Ray because Tay's just as good with the ball in his hand. It just kind of worked out that he was in there on the play calls. But we knew he was going to be excited to play, that he was going home, going to be in front of some of his buddies. So we knew he was going to have a little bit of extra juice and just building confidence. But it started with the great week of practice that he had.
And speaking, you talked about the center. The depth has begun to show some returns here a little past mid-season. Speak to that and how you see that helping as this team continues to evolve in the last 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Well, the last half of the season is not going to get any easier. It starts this week. You got the number 3 ranked total defense in the country that you got to go against. So getting those guys experience, and it started back with App State and Wofford. Being able to play those guys early to start them off, and it's big for Jake Morgan, who was out for a little bit of time with injury to make up some reps there. But I think it's going to be critical for our success down the stretch because obviously, we got some tough games coming up. You never know, and this is part of the season where the physicality starts to wear on the guys. You're going to have some situations where guys are going to get banged up, so it's critical that those guys are ready to play. And then they got to understand too that the standard doesn't change just because somebody comes out of the lineup. The second team, third team has to go out and produce just like the first team. So it's good to give those guys an opportunity to build confidence, because that's what it comes down to. If they have the confidence to go in because they've done it, in similar situations, it keeps us rolling.
Tony, obviously people don't go down to Miami and do what you guys did on Saturday. Is part of this week trying to remind the guys, hey, it's not going to be that easy when we line up again on Saturday?
Well, going into the Miami game, I don't think the guys thought it was going to be that easy. And it was a combination of our guys were ready to play. They took the approach of trying to get us fired up prior to the game, so it was kind of a storm that all came together on those guys. But we know a couple years ago what happened to us up at NC State, so that's a reminder. But the biggest thing is focusing on Clemson and just reminding our guys that Monday is Monday, Tuesday is Tuesday, and the reason that they've had success is because they've stuck to the plan. And we know that we got to prepare with purpose, effort with technique, and have an all-in commitment. So that's the message to our guys that, it doesn't matter who we play. We're prepared and we respect every opponent, and we don't expect games to be easy, and especially out in practice. Practice is probably as tough as it gets to prepare those guys. So the biggest thing is just staying true to who we are and in our plan, our process in which we prepare with.
Looking ahead to NC State, Mike Rose is a monster. Darian Roseborough, the freshman's playing really well. They seem to be maybe a little bit more active than I've seen them in a few years along the front.
Correct. If you watch them compared to last year, you just look at interior-wise, they're a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker. Creating a little bit more disruption inside. You look at them on the edges, they look like they're a little bit more quick twitch. They're a little bit longer. They're playing faster. They're playing with a lot of confidence all the way around. They're confident in their secondary to where they can lock you up in man coverage and be able to load the box and have extra hats to stop the run. So, they're playing at a high level, got a lot of confidence, and they've earned, the ranking that they got when you cut on the tape.
Is this offensive line, has it exceeded y'all's expectations? I mean, you were optimistic going into the year about them, but are they better than you thought they would be at this point?
I'd say that's a fair assessment in terms of just the way that they're working together and the cohesiveness. We knew we had a lot of talent. We knew the influx of the freshmen was going to bring a lot of competition to the group. But just the way that they're communicating and everybody's on the same page, and they're seeing a lot of different things, especially when you prepare for Boston College. Man, they had an unbelievable exotic blitz package, and there weren't any situations in the game where we just turned guys loose for the most part. So just the thing that I'm surprised and pleased with is the fact that the young guys are able to pick up all the different things that they got to prepare for, because now it's not like it used to be where you're getting one defensive front or they're staying in one structure throughout the course of the game. I mean, every other play it's a different structure that they got to be prepared for, and it's a lot of communication that has to take place.
Statistically, Clemson's the best first half team in the country, and it's not particularly close. What do you attribute to that?
Well, we talk to our guys. It's important to start fast. And I got to give credit to the other coaches on the staff, full-time coaches and graduate assistants, and putting together a good plan to start fast. And we start each week with a certain amount of plays that we want to script, that we feel like are good against any situation that the defense tries to bring, and get us off to a fast start, and the guys feed off of it. And when they have that success early, I mean, it just opens up the floodgates for those guys. So, but it all goes back to how they prepare. They prepare and they take pride in starting fast and understanding that, hey, it's a team game. If we can start fast and get teams behind with our defense, then it's going to be a long night.
Deshaun struggled on his opening drives a little bit early in the year. Anything has changed here the last week?
I think when early in the season, it's just those first game jitters and everybody getting comfortable. But he's always prepared the same way. I haven't seen anything change in him. It's just overall, over time, we've gotten more consistent in our execution. So that's what I think it is attributed to.
Kelly Bryant listed ahead of Nick Schuster on the depth chart today. Do you feel confident now that if you need a backup quarterback,
they're co.
They're co.
The only reason he's ahead of him because we do it alphabetical.
Okay. But either way, if Kelly Bryant needs to play, do you feel confident now that he's a guy who can step in there and play?
Well, I think if you watch what he's done when he's gotten in the game, he's earned the opportunity to get more reps, to really open up the competition. And I think to answer that question, by the time we get to the game Saturday, we'll know who the next guy is to run out. But I think he's really opened up that competition, and he's going to get more reps in practice. And so by the end of the week, we'll know who that guy will be. But I think, he's earned the right, you know, to get out there and compete. And obviously, if you look at the two, you know, Nick did a really good job, I think, with Georgia Tech, and led the team down the field. And obviously, you know, we were a little disappointed in those couple of throws. He's got to be ready to go in there and execute those throws. But, you know, the competition is open, but Kelly Bryant has shown the flashes of what he can do with the ball in his hand.
So who the second-team quarterback is will be decided in practice this week.
Yes.
Have you been disappointed just with Nick's lack of progress from the spring when he was getting first team reps for 15 practices?
You know, not disappointed in lack of progress. You know, more disappointed in, you know, he's got to be ready because you're one play away from him having to go out there to finish out the game. Obviously, that game was a different situation where it was out of hand and we put him in there, but he's got to be ready to go. And that's probably the only things I've been disappointed is he wasn't ready to go right out the gate. But if you watch in the other situations he's been in the game, he's done well.